And yesterday I read a really interesting quote, bros before hoes. They live somewhere in the past. Definitely a wrong place to do that. But yeah, call them now, as I told you to do, if it makes any sense. Hi everyone, how it's going? So the flowers. I doubt that it even needs any sort of explanation. I got the real flowers, I think. Yeah, they do smell amazing. And once again, the sponsor of this video is the Little Store, because the flowers cost only €2 here, or even less. So I'm very, very excited for this video. And it's the first time when it's been less than a week since I filmed my last video, because I couldn't wait to film a new one and film a new episode. And actually, this topic was about to be filmed first. And if you haven't seen my previous video about the money, so this one should have been instead of that one. This time I really wanted to take some time to think about it, to explore it a little bit, like to prepare finally. And this topic really means a lot to me because I think I mastered it to some extent, the same as traveling or immigration question. And if you haven't seen this episode, go and check it out now. I'll put it somewhere here. And yes, the friendships, they really mean a lot to me. It's the huge part of my life. And for the most part of my life, it was the biggest, room, so to say. If we look at our life as a huge apartment, that was the biggest room in my life, the friendships. And I'd be honest with you guys, even bigger than a family, because as you might know by this time, I moved from my hometown, from my family when I was 15 to study abroad. And from that time, I had to realize that I have to find some sort of a new family, which are obviously friends. And I really honor and I really cherish all of those relationships. And one thing I want to say is that even though I had some friendship breakups, so to say, I am proud of myself how I handled them. And even though not in all cases, I was given an opportunity, to say the last word. And I think it's what's called the close the gestalt or finish the gestalt, or like in Russian we say закрыть gestalt. What was that? But yeah, even though I ended some relationships or somebody ended them with me, I have no regrets because I have one simple rule. And for most people, probably it sounds crazy, but I guess people that we used to be friends with, they know that they can always ask me for help. If something happens to their family, to their life, something really big and unfortunate, I'm always there for them. Because for me, the friendship never ends when it ends. I think it's not the best wording, but for me, any relationship, regardless of how it ended, it really means a lot to me because at some point of my life, this person was really important for me. And probably I didn't have any proper, romantic breakups, because I know that in those cases, it's better if you just stop talking to that person at all and don't make it toxic for you by keeping this relationship going, even though you're not together anymore. But I think with friendships, it's a little bit more because it's, to some extent, for me, it's bigger than any romantic relationships, because as I love to say, bros before hoes. And for me, I really stand by those words. And recently, when I was working with my coach, I had like 3 sessions, but huge ones in terms of like the progress and the effect they had on me. And once, not even as a part of the homework or our session, I just did the meditation that I sometimes do. Like I do it very rarely, maybe once in 3 months, when I really, really struggle to find an answer to a question. And I did it only 3 times, but every meditation ended with me crying. And this time I meditated about some, career questions. And very surprisingly to me, a person that I haven't spoken in 12 years turned up to me during that meditation. And I haven't contacted that person in around 12 years, as I said. During that friendship, I was really hurt. And after that meditation, it took me some days, but I contacted that person finally. I kind of wanted them to know that I still think about them and I still remember them. And it was a nice touch in terms of this person replied to me and everything was good. So I think even this friendship that, ended at some point, I still had some connection with that person that, and it was somewhere subconsciously in the background of my mind. And I think this little story just demonstrates that any friendship to me, it really matters even if we're not in constant touch with that person. And the particular subtopic of our topic today is the long distance friendships. Like a lot of people, they're in long distance relationships, romantic relationships, and it's obviously very hard and complicated. And a lot of psychologists would just say that it's not even a healthy way of doing this thing, just because at some point you need to be together physically. But with long-term friendships, I think it's a little bit different. It's sort of like doable, and I've been doing this since I moved out from my hometown, and I'm still keeping in touch with some people. One of my best friends, she's still there, and I see her like maybe just once a year, but we talk every single week. And there are other people from my hometown, or like, so to say, previous life, and I'm still keeping in touch with them because it really matters to me. It's even like, being able to connect with my previous life. It's not like I'm trying to say that they live somewhere in the past. It's just me. It's me from the past and those people from the past. I have this connection, this wire between these realities. And for me, long-term, long-distance friendship means to me as much as the, short-distance, long-term romantic relationship. Because a lot of times, even your, partner, your best friend, sometimes you want to talk about this relationship with somebody else, and you need to bounce off your ideas with somebody who is not in this, couple. And I think, as I've said before, I think I've mastered the long-term, long-distance relationship, because I definitely think that it also takes work, not work, I don't like this word. It takes some effort from both sides to keep in touch, to make this move, to text, to call. And for me, it's natural. And I think even not my, best friends, but just people that know me, they will definitely tell that I know how to keep the relationship. I know how to keep and value the relationships, because I'm usually the one who initiates the talk, because I'm genuinely interested in people. I'm genuinely interested in how they're doing, and especially my friends, because they are definitely a part of me. And now when I say all of that, it feels like that genuinely, like literally, this friendship thing really means to me as much as any romantic relationship. Like with my childhood best friend from hometown, we had a lot of this girls' night ins when we read our diaries to each other, when we gossiped about the boyfriends, like what's happening at school and stuff. And it really warms my heart when I even remember those episodes in my life, because I am so grateful that I was able to have true friendships and they still last. And it's something that you have to cherish in your life, because one of the affirmations that I have written in my, not even diary, but just my notebook, one of the affirmations is that people is the most important part of your life. Probably a lot of people would disagree on that, but for me, it's not, it's just a word, and it's just a way for me to put that, because sometimes we're so busy with our work, careers, our problems. I'm the type of person who would usually choose to do something useful rather than just to go and meet a friend if you have a spare evening. I just remember that when I was living in LA, I was definitely the type of person that, and it was definitely a wrong place to do that, but I thought it's better if I, work on the next script, prepare for the new audition, then I would just rather go and hang out with friends. But in LA, actually, it's probably even more valuable if you go and network with people. But I had to remind myself that people play a huge role in my life, and I need to not even like constantly remember that, but just kind of like remind myself from time to time that a very deep conversation with your friend can be more meaningful and more useful than reading any informative book. And yesterday I read a really interesting quote. It was all about the emigration and how it's hard to find yourself, in a new place mentally, emotionally. And the phrase was that the immigration is some sort of the suicide of your own old self. And I definitely agree with that. And I'm just curious, to count all those multiple beautiful times when I had to be kind of like reborn and, to find new friends and to find new places to go to and just like to get accustomed to a new place, to a new way of living. And friends is probably, apart from your partner, if you have one, friends is that glue that connects different parts of yourself, different parts of your realities, especially if you live in different countries and have people from different countries. You can feel it very easily. So those connections, they are as important as the oxygen. I don't know, probably it's the worst quote that I would ever say here, but let it be, because as I've said, it really, really means a lot to me when I have a real connection with someone that lasts a long time. Even if it doesn't long last time, sometimes there are people that just come and, leave our life, but they come with a very important piece of information or a very important lesson for you. So probably this video, this episode is a little sign to you that you need to call that friend, to text a message to that friend that you haven't spoken for a while and you miss them, but probably you are offended that they haven't been in touch with you for a long time and you feel like, why am I the one who makes those first moves? And sometimes people leave and it's totally normal, but it's better if you can get some sort of feedback to understand what happened and why they decided to leave you. But if you have a friend or friends that that you haven't spoken for a while with and you miss them and you try to find the right time to call them now. Just like grab your phone, call them, text them, there are a number of ways you can do it nowadays, thanks to the technology. And probably today, if you're watching this, you will remind yourself that there are so many beautiful friends in your life that you should be grateful for, that if you're in a new place, go and find a new one, because people is that ground, is that base which enables other things to grow from or on, if it makes any sense. So yes, this episode was dedicated to friendship, to my friends, and if you're watching this, don't guys forget to support me and put thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. But I hope that most of my friends already are subscribers. So yeah, actually supporting each other is also very important. Like if you don't support your friends, even if you don't really, understand what they do or like what they do, I always support my friends because I feel like it's just my duty to be there for them whenever they need me. And probably when they're starting something new, as me with my blog, for example, I am very grateful for people who, support me, because one word from your true friend sometimes is twice as valuable as the word of any stranger. So hope you have an amazing day. I hope that you call your friend as I told you to do. And yes, see you in the next video. Bye.